questions that are being asked, I'd like to mostly address, so this is my preference, is questions that affect how you walk. Questions about living this out. What he's always told me is, tell them that if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they'll be where they're supposed to be. But you need a teacher to teach you what it is you need to be doing. All right, Holly in Wisconsin.
2 silly questions. I called in to the office and talked to Rabbi Tom, but he said I should just ask you just to get your take on it. So I'm sorry. I'm outside. It's better than inside. My kids are just tearing apart the house. I'm going to be getting dental implants possibly, and they're going to use a bone graft from someone that is no longer alive. And so, though it's not life and death, like emergency, as far as that, I can just always do it, get a partial. Is there anything for my walk, for obeying the Torah, that I should not do an implant?
No, you can get the implant. That's fine.
Okay.
No, ideally, if your bone is good enough, they'll take it from you. I had an implant and they were able to do it from using my own bone, but if they can't, then that's going to be fine. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Cool. But then my second question, hopefully it's going to be short, is my primary recommended that I get consultation or therapy, or just talk to someone on a regular basis in person. I feel that it's just where we live. I don't have family, friends, really. I'm surrounded by my kids all day.
All right, hold on. Okay, we'll speed this up. Look.
Yeah.
The primary is recommending something because the primary believes that you could use therapy that would help you. So the point is, can you find therapy that will help you? Now, they recommend it in person. Well, if that doesn't really make viable sense for you, I would absolutely try using something that can be done online. You know, we have, like Janet and others that do it online, okay? They do have Zoom sessions and that kind of thing. And so just take the point is that you got counsel that said you should try to get therapy. So now you got to find one that works. By the way, you can find one that works better online, maybe even than in person, or better in person than online, because it's hit and miss. Not every therapist you go to is going to be a perfect fit for you, okay? They're very hit and miss.
And I don't want to let anyone speak into my life and then, yeah.
Okay. Well, and we certainly can recommend, like Janet, for example, and you can maybe talk to her and then she find out what she charges and how that all works, okay? So you could just contact us here. But go with, when you have a doctor, a primary, anybody making recommendation, think about what they're actually recommending. The main point is he's recommending or she's recommending that you get some sort of therapy. Now, you're free to then choose how you do that. They may say that they believe it's better to do it this way or that way. That's fine, okay? All right? I remember I got diagnosed, this is many, many years ago, with colitis, right? Then I asked the doctor what to do, and they put me on some medication. I said, well, how long am I going to have to take this medication? They were like, forever. I said, well, that's not going to work for me, okay? So I knew I had to now find another way to deal with the problem. But at least I went to the doctors to get diagnosed that that's the problem I had, okay? Now, if they recommended that you need to do something to deal with it, well, then I said, fine, I'm going to go look for something to deal with it. They suggested a particular medication, and I said, well, that's not going to work for me, so I went and looked for something else. So if you believe you can do the therapy if you agree with them that you might need some therapy, fine, go get the therapy, but do it in a way that works for you and you're comfortable with, because if you go to anybody you're not comfortable with, you're not going to get good therapy anyway.
Right. I feel like she's saying that because I talked to Marlene, and she shared Marco Polo. So a part of me was like, should I work with the therapist first and then do my meet and greet video, then connect with the women on there?
Look,
I don't want to use that platform as like...
No. Use Marco Polo. For people that are watching, know what we're talking about. We have a couple of social interactive groups for our m.t.o.i. We have one for the ladies, one for the men, where they get to just like social. Marco Polo is a video chat software, and a lot of people like it and they interact. Don't bring your stuff that you're needing help with to the Marco Polo. Just be social, okay? So you don't have to wait till you get therapy and stuff before you can start that. Just bring you into the group and let people get to know you and love on you and that kind of thing, right? And that's fine, okay? And if you want more discussion, you can make an appointment with me and I can find out more about what kind of therapy you need and we can maybe talk about making recommendations, okay?
That's what I'll do. I'll do it Monday.
All right.
Or I'll email.
Yeah, email, and the elder will get that email, and then he has my calendar, and then he'll schedule you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
All right.
Next up, we have, let's see, Judy, Rabbi Tom's daughter.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. How are you?
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. And Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. See you all in 2 weeks. I have a question regarding Matthew 12:37, where it says, I'm trying to read this with my 50-year-old eyes without gold reading glasses. It says, by your words you shall be declared righteous, or it's basically, and by your words you shall be declared unrighteous, or in another version it says, by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. I was brought up being taught that every word we speak is written down in the book of life, and that Yahweh will judge us according to that in when Yeshua returns. I mean, can you help me understand that, please?
All right, so this section here, okay, so he's dealing with, this idea of, let's see, we go back to verse 34. He says, brood of adders. He says, how are you able to speak what is good, being wicked? For the mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart. The good man brings forth what is good from the good treasure of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked from the wicked treasures. Okay, so I say that for every idle word men speak, they shall give an account of it in the day of judgment. So really, he's trying to talk about, mostly with dealing with these people, hypocrisy. You're going to say something and not do it, then you're going to be judged for the idle words. Okay? So it's dealing with a lot of these things. Bear in mind what he's talking about if you go back to, like, say, verse 32. Whoever speaks a word against the son of Adam, it shall be forgiven him, but whoever speaks against. So it has to do with speaking against. But the speaking against, right, it comes out of the abundance of the heart. So out of what's going on in the heart, actions come forth. Often words before actual other actions. Okay? So he's saying, you know what? Bridle the tongue. Be aware of what you're claiming, saying, or what you're doing. This could be that you could be claiming something that you want people to believe is true, but it's not. Or it could be attacking what you don't understand and you're wrong about attacking. Again, the context that he's using this in has to do with the fact that he was casting out a demon. They're accusing him of being of the devil, and that the devil's casting out a demon by the devil. And right, all of that's starting off going back to, earlier in the chapter. Then he goes, of course, every kingdom divided against itself can't stand. And then he keeps going forward. And he goes, look, you guys are just running your mouth. And you're attacking what you don't understand. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. And all of that stuff is going to be brought into judgment. Did that help?
Yes, it did. And then I have just one other quick question. So tying in with that, then in the millennial reign, when Yeshua returns, we're all going to be judged for, this is what I understand, and straighten me out if I'm wrong, please. We're all going to be judged, and those who are deemed to have lived according to Torah will hold a place in the kingdom. But those who don't know anything about it, say, for example, like some of my nieces and nephews, for example.
Or most of the people on the planet that you know.
Right, exactly. Would know that they would be taught in the millennial reign. So, but what about those of us who maybe have tried and fallen and then picked ourselves back up and done it again? How does that work?
Okay, so first let me tie back to this. Okay, It starts with what was going on in the heart. Out of that came So the judgment is on this, not the words, but what was behind the words, okay? Because he does know our hearts, okay? And that's what it said in Deuteronomy 8:2, right? He's going to test to see whether our heart is focused on submitting to him and trusting him and doing what he says, keeping his commandments, right? Whether it's in our heart to do these things. So really, it's not the words so much that's the problem. It's what's behind the words, okay? Now, that's point one. Point two, okay? For those who don't understand all the stuff that Judy was just saying about the millennium and the kingdom and that kind of stuff, I have a teaching called The Millennium and the Kingdom. Listen to that. It's 3 parts, not 4. It's 3, that's an inside joke. But anyways, 3 parts. Okay, go listen to that. Now, Judy, here's the deal, all right? I believe that none of this is my business to judge, right? I can't come up with who gets in and who gets out. It's above my pay grade. But I also believe that our Creator is incredibly compassionate. I also believe, and this is where the Millennium and Kingdom teaching kind of lays out, that he gives us little clues. Like he says, it's his desire, if possible, that all men be saved. Whatever that means. I explain it in the teaching, right? So somebody who's struggling now, okay, and still trying and struggling and still trying, and let's say that they're still in that struggle trying place where they're just not getting there, and then they die. And now they're going to end up in that judgment at some point. I believe they're still going to be given possibly that opportunity in the millennium to actually finish the journey. What I don't want you doing, and nobody should be doing this, which is saying, it's too hard, I'll wait for the millennium. Because that's showing in your heart where you're at, okay? I don't think he's going to easily, I don't think it'll be easy for him to just cut a bunch of people out and say, you're done. He's going to give everybody that full chance as long as he believes that you're exhibiting something that looks like you're going to get there eventually, right? Okay? And so the point is, never quit, keep going forward, keep trying. All right? Did that answer it?
It did, and just does that also then, what about those who don't have the capacity to understand, like individuals who maybe have severe autism or things like that?
Okay, I believe, and I think I said it in the teaching, okay? I believe that all people that were handicapped so that they were not in the capacity will all get a millennial time in complete health to be able to make those choices, okay? Because he's compassionate, so he's not going to just say, well, it's too bad the sperm and the egg had a little problem and snafu, so we got a little bit of a genetic, sideways thing, and somebody came out with some challenges. Too bad on him, too bad on her. No, I think they get to be healed of all that and have an opportunity, like we all should, in sound mind, to be able to receive and make choices. Because all of this is about watching us make choices, right? Remember I did the teaching. Making decisions is the reason you're here, right? It's called making decisions is the reason you exist. And so if a person is handicapped in their ability to make choices or to have the information processed properly to make choices, that is not their fault. I believe he will heal that and then give them a life to make those choices. Okay? All right?
Thank you very much for answering that. I appreciate that.
Okay. Look, and I also think in his compassion that most of the handicapped children born with these disabilities, they seem to be the most wonderful of people, more than us fully capable jerks that we are. And that makes them so special, and they're just, 100 and whatever pounds of love. I mean, that's all they are. They're just so awesome. m.t.o.i over here is one of them, right? I mean, they're just the most loving. They got smiles. They're happy. They don't seem to have the challenges we have because they don't have the capacity to do the good stuff. They also don't have the capacity of all the junk, okay? Praise Yah for that, for them. But I believe that he is now, okay, here's another part of the puzzle, right? Everything's about piecing, no pieces get left in the box. All the pieces have to be used. It says in Scripture, he's not a respecter of persons. So he'd be a respecter of persons if he didn't give everybody the same chance, okay? Everybody gets that one chance. You may get more than one life. Remember, there's a verse that talks about a second death. No second death without a second life, okay? So there's no point in mentioning the second death if there's no second life. So I believe everybody, if they had in their first life a handicap where they were unable to do all these things, will be given that opportunity in full capacity, okay, in the millennium. All right. Next up, so Judy, you can go ahead and leave the room. Next up we have, let's see, Shaquille Charles, and then we'll get to Odessa after that.
All right, so pertaining to the rearing of animals.
Wait, hold on. Before, just let everybody know where you're from.
From Trinidad.
From Trinidad. Okay, good.
Yeah, pertaining to the rearing of animals, is it okay to rear like unclean animals like rabbits and stuff?
Okay, is it okay to raise unclean animals? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Don't eat them.
No, I don't eat them.
Look, I don't know that I would raise unclean animals just because I don't really have any interest in that. But I mean, if you can have a business of it and work with it or whatever, I don't know that that's really a problem. I mean,
Yeah,
we're just
like for that purpose itself, for like the business side of it.
yeah. That's probably fine. I mean, I think I've made that ruling before for people that have that going on. Just it doesn't say you can't do other things with them. You just can't eat them. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
And also, I made an observation with, like, from the teaching with the seats. I realized that Miss Shira, when she did the video, she was using like 6 strings and one of the blue ones. And I observed that it can also be used for the week, for the first week, like day 1 as like from day 1 to 6, the 6 white strings, and the Sabbath the blue string.
Okay, the sound is coming in and out a little bit. So it sounded like you're talking about the seat and the 6 white strands and the 7th one being blue. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't quite get what your question was about that.
No, it wasn't a question. It was an observation that you can look at the seat as a reminder of the week.
Oh, very good. I appreciate that. Very good. You can look at it as a reminder of the week. 6 white days, right? The 6 white strands of working and the 1 blue strand of rest. Right. Sure. Very good.
And that's it.
All right. Thank you. And one of these days I got to get to Trinidad. We've had a few people in m.t.o.i in Trinidad over the years. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, Annabelle in Odessa.
It's not scripture. It's more like Torah walking, I guess. My walk. Being a punching bag to other people. So there's times when people take out stuff on you, like when you go to a grocery store and the lady at the register just went through a ugly thing and she's treating you unfairly, right? And then but being at a grocery store, you can say something nice and lift up her spirits or whatever, or you just take it and walk away, How do you do that with family members that constantly take out whatever they're going through on you?
Look, I've already told Gabriel to stop that. I'm kidding. That's her brother, and he runs the group there. I'm just teasing.
And he's not listening.
Well played. Well played. All right.
Okay.
All right. So look, first of all, if you're having a relationship problem where you're being treated or you feel like you're being treated in a way that you don't really desire, one of the first things you should be doing is asking, am I doing the same thing to people too? Because there tends to be a reciprocity thing that happens, even if it's not directly from the same person. But you're doing to somebody and then somebody's doing to you, sometimes Abba allows that to get your attention. Okay, that's just the first question to ask. Now, how do you actually deal with, when people are doing this? You have to find a way to find your voice and just say, look, I don't know if you're doing this on purpose or you're aware of it, but I really don't appreciate that when you're going through something, you sort of take it out on me. Okay, I'm here for you, but I'm not here for that. And so you have to find your voice. By the way, this doesn't mean that it'll be received well. Okay, there are people that might receive it well and may not. Okay, but you have to speak up. It's just like when you're going through the line at the store. If somebody's having an attitude, you can decide, okay, if it's just an attitude, all right, I can get past this. I'll just finish my checking out of the store and it'll be done. If their attitude is like adversely affecting what they're charging me or doing this or how they're handling my stuff, I may decide to talk to their boss, okay? Because talking to them directly would make no sense, all right? And so this is where, because I've had people, this is more in a restaurant we'll have it, where the wait staff is adversely treating me, and I know I'm not getting good service because they're going through something. Okay? By the way, for all of you, all you wait staff, never do this. I'm going to give you something never to do. Okay? You work in a restaurant, you're given too many tables. Never, ever tell the person who's upset that you haven't gotten to them that, you're busy and you have too many tables. Because I can promise you, I don't care. I came in there and expected your full attention. Okay? You can say you're sorry, but don't try to justify saying, well, it's not my fault they gave me too many tables. I said, it's not my fault either, and I'm not getting my food and my service. Okay, and I'm paying for you. All right, so please don't do that. But that's when I'll go get the supervisor and say, listen, Mr. Supervisor, Mrs. Supervisor, I'm not getting good service because either my wait person here is not good at their job or you've given them too many tables. Okay? And then they'll say, well, it's not my fault. We had somebody call out sick. Look, I'm not going to pay you then. Okay? You want me to sit here and pay the full price, but you're not going to give me what I'm paying for. Everybody wants to make excuses. All right. But when it comes to if the person that you're interacting with, if it's something easy enough to pass by, it's just irritating that they're being a little snarky with you, that's fine. Get past it. If it's a family member, you could choose to still do that route and just get past it. Always use the phrase, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. In other words, they're going through something and they don't realize they're taking it out on me and it's not nothing I could do about what they're going through. It's not my fault they're going through this thing, right? You could also, with a family member, say, look, I'd love to sympathize, empathize, and encourage you, but it's hard to do when you're spewing and vomiting and smacking me because you're upset. I didn't do whatever you're upset about, okay? So why are you hitting me? Okay, Annabelle?
Okay, Rabbi, and like when that is happening at that particular time, should I tend to wait when there's not people around, then talk to them about that, or
yes.
I mean that's just my respectful way
while
to
it's
do
happening,
things instead of.
I understand, but while it's happening though, okay. You could choose to shut it down or, exit the situation so it doesn't continue and then deal with them privately when you get the opportunity, okay? I mean, that's certainly something you could do. By the way, I'm not completely against, if somebody's gonna do something in front of everybody, I don't have a problem handling it in front of everybody, okay? If you choose to do it in front of people, and I love the reaction I'll get, because when I correct them in front of everybody, they get like, oh, you should have taken me privately. No, you shouldn't have done what you did in front of everybody, okay?
Yes.
So I'm not really against the idea that if it's in front of people, finding a way to say, hey, listen, this is not right. I don't need to be treated this way, and maybe you want to talk to me about it privately, but you're doing this in front of everybody, okay? You do it in public, it gets addressed in public, if it's me. Okay? And I've had lots of people get mad at me saying, well, you should have called me off to the side. Well, then you shouldn't have done it in public. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because, by the way, in public, then, if I don't address it, then people are going to think that I approved it. Because they all saw it. They're going to think, oh, I guess that's okay to treat Rabbi this way. Or I'll address something because I see somebody treat somebody else that way in front of me and other people. And then they'll think, well, Rabbi was standing right there. I guess he's okay with it. No, I'm not. I need to address it. So some of you need to know, if you come up to a mic and do something, I may need to address it because you did it in front of everybody on the mic. Don't get upset about it. It should actually bring most people comfort to know that it's going to be handled because it was done in public. It has to be handled in public because the public saw it, okay? Or the group of people, and not so public, but it was done in front of people. Does that help, Annabelle?
Yes, and I know I got lots of smacks from you. But
And some of them were in
Rabbi,
public because it needed to be in public. I understand that.
yes, sir, definitely. I have a small one. Can I have another one or no?
Real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say we go to the store, we grab something, and then we don't look at the label. And according to Deuteronomy 14:21, but that scripture right there talks about if something dies of itself, we can sell it to the sojourner. If we were to buy something that was unclean, and because I didn't bother to check the label, can I give that to a sojourner or to someone that doesn't keep Torah, or do I need to chunk it?
Look, I mean, it was in the store. Anybody could have bought it. You could always find somebody else that would want it. That's fine. If you have a family member that would have it, that's fine. I mean, we're not imposing kashrut on people, okay? This is different.
Right.
This is not the same thing as like you need to get rid of your Christmas stuff, okay? You don't just sell that, because we have verses that say you shouldn't be, financially benefiting from the stuff that was part of something you shouldn't have been doing, okay? But if you accidentally pick up something that you know your family will eat, you won't eat, and say, look, I bought this, I can't eat it, but if you want it, you could have it. There's nothing wrong with that, okay?
Okay, I'll get back in line.
All right, good. All right, Al.
First question I wanted to ask, though, is this. Is there anything in Torah that would prevent me from being a grower for, say, like Tyson or Purdue, one of the big companies in the chicken industry?
Why would you think that would be a problem?
Well, I mean, I know everybody believes that they use hormones to grow the chicken so fast, but they don't. It's been illegal since the 1950s nationwide. They use genetics, and they cross a Cornish with a white rock, and now the chicken grows extremely fast because you have, I believe it's the Cornish that actually was isolated, and anyway, so when the two are brought together, then, like I said, the chicken grows extremely fast. And what I'm referring to is not to allow your flock to breed with diverse kinds, but
it's still the same kind. Chicken is a chicken, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Right.
Chicken is a chicken.
Right.
Okay?
And they all probably came from the same chicken,
Right. No, you can do that. If you want to go ahead and look, as long as you don't think there's a Torah issue and this is one you thought was, I don't think it's a problem. Okay?
Okay. Because I think we want to try to move forward with that. We finally are able to make those companies listen to us. And so
well, good.
I'm trying to get a letter of intent, and if I can get that, then we will move forward. The other question I have is how do I explain it? Well, like I said, most of the questions I should ask in private. I should call for counsel.
We've scheduled before. You can go ahead and schedule.
Okay. There was another one, but I lost it. I guess if I can think of it, I guess I'll get back in line.
All right. We have about 30 minutes, so maybe there'll be time for you to get back in line. Otherwise, just schedule with Elder and get on my calendar. Okay, Al?
Okay, I will definitely do that. Okay, thank you, Rabbi.
All right, say hey to Jeannie and the rest of the family for us.
I will.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
All right, next up we have, all right, so we got Tommy. So your wife went earlier, now you're coming up. Okay, in Odessa. This is Rosita.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Rosita's his wife.
This is a continuation to that question that my wife asked in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 26. But I'm going a little bit deeper on that chapter where it says that, and as it awaits men to die once, and after this the judgment, so also the Messiah, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, shall appear a second time apart from sin. that right there, apart from sin, to those waiting for him unto deliverance. And there's a reference there in Isaiah 53:12. Could you explain that, how to connect that and what that means, apart from sin?
So first of all, if there's a footnote reference, man came up with that, so it may or may not be connected. I mean, there are no inspired references. Okay. Let's see, 53:12, at the end of the verse there it says, he bore the sin of many and made intercession. Look, what do you think it means apart from sin? Well, obviously you don't know, that's why you're asking the question. So apart from sin, so he came the first time in one of these, a flesh suit. Okay, what does a flesh suit have? Sin. Not that he sinned, but he took all that sin on him. Now when he returns, it says he's gonna come a second time apart from that, okay? No flesh suit, all right? He's now going to have been changed, which we actually see him changed after the resurrection, right? Okay? Does that make sense, Tommy?
Yes, sir. That makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's my question answered. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right. I don't see anybody else in the room, which means we might end up with Annabelle again. There we do. There she is. Okay. Go ahead, put her in there. By the way, Annabelle and I are like a brother and a sister, and I pick on her, she picks on me. We have a good time, and we had a lot of fun in Odessa, so anyway. All right, go ahead.
Yes, we did. We had a great time. I was very grateful to have you here. And so during your Zone 3 meeting, I believe that's the one at night.
Yep.
It was very, very, very good. You were talking a lot about singles and how the person, if anyone wants to be with a daughter, they need to get with you, and you have to be the one. Not saying like you have. Yes, I am saying that. For me, anyway, you have to be the one to approve that person and to vet that person for us. Being that we're away from each other, that person would have to have communication with you over a phone and stuff. How would you, just asking how you would be able to vet that person, being that we're so far away?
Look, I mean, all of the vetting is done in two ways. One is obviously by physical observation. That's if we were in the same place, I could observe the person. But most of the rest of the vetting is all done by a discussion, asking questions, watching and seeing how they interact with you, which we could do on a Zoom, which I've done a lot of premarital type counselings on Zoom where people were able to be both of them on the screen and I could talk to them and ask a lot of questions and see how things are going there. By the way, so she mentioned, so I have a role of a father figure to a lot of these women that never really had a father, right? Didn't have a chance to know what that looks like. But for all of you out there that are wanting to be really good fathers, you know, if you do this right, then your daughters should, if you have daughters, want you to approve their choice. Okay? My daughter and I had many discussions about her choice, right? Because she wanted to make sure that I had approved, and I did approve of her choice, okay? But we talked about things that helped her to make sure that it was the choice she really wanted to make. Okay, but I was not there though to say whether I would want to marry him. Okay? Like, is he the choice I would make? But I wanted to make sure that he was the right choice for her, that he would treat her well, take care of her, do the things that she was hoping for and expecting, right? Okay? I can do that still, obviously, for you, Annabelle, and the others that we've sort of designated as daughters. But that being said, okay, it's because of a relationship that you have with me as a sort of a father role that would work the best, okay? Now, for those of you who did not go to Zone 3, didn't hear all of this, this is a very sneaky way to bring the Zone 3 secret stuff into Zone 1. I see how you're doing this.
I'm sorry.
I'm joking. No, because we always say how, if you don't go to the meeting, you miss it, right? And I did talk an awful lot about this stuff, on the Zone 3, last night. And so that was, not recorded, so nobody gets to hear it. So it's okay if it gets brought up again, which is fine. But the point is, with the singles, okay, when you're wanting to get married, there are some things that you should really take very seriously. The first most serious thing you should be taking seriously is, all right, that nothing is worth a bad marriage, okay? So don't be such a hurry to pick someone until you've gone through a lot of vetting enough for you to really feel like you feel confident about this deal, because a bad marriage is not worth any whatever. So I don't care how lonely you are, don't rush this deal. Because being single and lonely is bad. Being married and miserable is worse. So don't do this, okay? It's a bad idea, all right? Now, I'm not a big fan of long engagements. I'm a fan of long vetting processes. Because the vetting process should end with, yes, we want to get married, and then all it should take then is however long it takes to plan to get married. A number of months, number of weeks, whatever it could be, whatever it is. Okay, it doesn't need a long time. I don't understand why people say, well, yeah, I've been engaged for 2 years. Engaged for 2 years? There's only one reason you're engaged for 2 years, because you're already having sex, and so you don't feel the need to get married. And you're probably living together. Okay? Because once you decide you want to marry the person, you should then enjoy all the benefits, which means spending time together and all the other things as well, of being married. But if you're already enjoying things that you would enjoy only if you're married, but you're not, and I do get some awkward conversations with people that call here and they're living together and they're not married. And then they're looking for counsel. I said, well, you need to get out of the house first. So you're already out of order. Oh, well, we've been living together for 2 years. I'm sorry, that's still a problem. You want to fix it? Go get married. Okay? You don't want to move out? Get married tomorrow. Look, if you're hemorrhaging and bleeding, stop the bleeding. Well, I'm not ready to get married. I'm not sure I still want to marry that person. Fine, get out of the house while you're figuring that out. Okay? But see, people don't listen to me. I've told people, this is wrong, and they don't listen. And then they'll get married 6 or 8 months later, and nobody listens, okay? Or they'll end up not. I've had a lot of people I've told them not to do this, and they didn't end up getting married. But they were convincing me that they were going to get married. And now they're not even together anymore. One of the first people we ever threw out of the congregation, I told them, look, you are living with this woman. She's got a teenage daughter. You're saying, oh, but we're getting married in a couple of weeks. And my apartment just ended, and we're trying to save money. I said, no, this is wrong. I said, we'll help you. If we have to, we'll pay for a place for you to live for a month, and then when you get married, then that'll be fine. They refused to listen, and now they're not even married or together. But when he didn't listen, I said, look, I give you 30 days to fix this. This was a couple of months, I guess, before the wedding was supposed to be. I give you 30 days. Rabbi Tom was a part of this, others were talking. And the man said, oh, yeah, no problem, we'll fix this. And he didn't. And then, or actually said, no, he wasn't going to fix it, whatever. We gave him 30 days. He said, look, and if you don't fix it, we can't have you be here. Because now everybody's watching what you're doing. Okay? And when 30 days passed, I think I was even generous enough to give him another couple of weeks. He still didn't do it. I said, sorry. And he said, I understand. I said, sorry, but you got to go. Okay? Look, it doesn't matter how complicated you caused your life to be because you did something dumb. You still did it dumb, and you still have to fix it. Okay? I don't care how inconvenient it is. You made the mess. By the way, can I ask anybody, how often are your messes convenient? Anybody? I haven't been in too many messes that were convenient. And the solution being convenient. Okay? So, if you're single, okay, number one, you don't want to be unequally yoked. Okay? You don't. Unequally yoked means you're not under the same teaching and the same journey and the same covenant. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, you don't want to be under different vertical structures, even though you may be equally yoked. Okay, so you're both Messianic, you're both Torah observant or trying anyway, etc. You don't want to be under different leadership. Because if you have a problem, And then who do you go to? His leadership or her leadership? Okay? If you're not under the same leadership, what do you do? And I've had that happen once or twice where someone was planning to get married, and I said, but you're under different leadership. I said, you need to make a choice. You either need to go under the one, or you need to both come under me. But this, I'm not approving this thing if you're going to stay under different leadership. Okay? And this was a daughter who had promised that I would get to approve. I said, I don't approve unless you guys get under the same leadership. I didn't say it had to be me. Okay? Now, secondly, or third thing is, it should be me. Why? Because you can't get this anywhere else anyway. Okay? I wouldn't be saying this if you could. And this is not ego, pride, or some other nonsense. I cannot find this. People think they do. They send it to me, and then I find out that they're not this. Okay? All right? There's some very obvious and easy to find mess that you can find. Okay? Now, that being said, how are you really equally yoked if you're not under the same teacher? All right? Because then you don't see things the same. Okay? And by teacher, I don't mean just like, a place has got 5 different guys teaching and it's just whoever the flavor of the week. I mean the one who's actually instructing you, this is the way, walk you in it. All right? That you believe is Ephesians 4:11 teacher, prophet, 5-fold. Okay? You might be thinking, but I haven't met anybody yet in this. It's such a small organization. What, he can't find you somebody and bring them in? Seriously? I moved all the way to Florida to a church that was where I believed at the time. I only had one single lady there, but that was the one for me. I mean, but I didn't know that when I got there, right? I mean, I didn't know that was going to happen. And by the way, I didn't decide to go there because I was looking for a wife. So you guys need to stop trolling m.t.o.i. All you guys watching the dance circle, oh, she's cute, ooh, oh. All right? I'm going to go visit. Yeah, but just understand, you come here, you still have to go through me. Okay? And you're welcome, ladies, because that'll scare 99% of them away.
Yep.
Okay? Because they're not, It's funny, when I got to Odessa, they looked at me like, I thought you were taller. I said, you don't have to be tall to be scary. Okay? So, anyway, Annabelle, did that answer your question? When you wanted more clarity with the stuff from last night? Okay, good. All right. Round 2 for Olivia.
Going back to the vertical structure and what you've been talking about. So if I'm trusting the vertical structure through the lens of covenant with Yah, I'm saying that I'm basically trusting Yah with the leadership, right?
Yep.
And if I'm trusting Yah with the leadership, it means I'm trusting him with the people under him, and I'm trusting him with myself. Correct?
Correct.
And then that means, is that what a trustworthy servant does?
Yes, but just let's kind of make sure we're clear on this structure. Okay, anybody can claim to be in a vertical structure with the Creator or whatever it is. You have to look, okay? Mom can say she's completely submitted under dad, but then you can watch and see if that's true, okay?
Right.
I could be an employee saying that I'm completely submitted to my supervisor, or my supervisor says he's completely submitted to his supervisor, and I can watch and see if that's true, okay? So if someone actually is in a structure and aligned in it and submitted to it, then the trust should go all the way to the top of the structure if everybody is in their position like they're supposed to be. So you should see my submission to Yeshua, okay?
Right.
Yeshua always was telling them, do you not see my submission to the Father? If you don't believe me, believe the works, okay? Same thing I would say to you. If you're not sure if I'm in the structure, believe the works.
Right.
What are the works? Not only the things that you see me doing and that we built with this and everything, but what do the teachings show you about my submission in that structure? And the structure anointing, so that it's the structure's information that you're getting.
Right.
from the above, right?
Makes perfect sense. The Ephesians 4:11 guy. That's you.
Look, that Paul said a lot of really great things. That's one of the best things I think he ever said. That in Galatians 5:22 with the fruit of the Spirit. But I mean, when he kind of said, look, these guys are available to you and will always be available. You just got to find them to do the next stuff that he said, which is to help us all come into the fullness and the completeness in a unity, right, of the measure of the stature of Messiah. So we are not just blown about by every wind of teaching and all this other nonsense. We have stability. The structure brings stability, not just any structure. You have to vet out and look for that Ephesians 4:11 person. But then once you find them, it's in your best interest to get in alignment with that, okay?
Right.
Trusting it, relying on it, asking for help from it, guidance from it. I mean, making full use of the benefit of that structure.
Totally agree.
Okay?
Totally.
All right, anything else?
Does going with the trust, is it just trusting Yah with the leadership, or is it trusting the body as well?
No.
Because you had mentioned it just being fellowship with, I liked what you said with the fellowship of the ring last time. That totally worked for me.
The fellowship of what?
The ring. When you were telling me about how do I look at this covenant thing, and we're all on this, and you referenced token.
Okay, I don't remember. I mean, I reference movies and things all the time. Look, the bottom line is this. You can vet and start, hopefully, to trust the vertical structure. That doesn't mean the people all on your level are all trustworthy and wonderful. You got to have caution and learn and vet those people out, because anybody could be on that level, okay?
Okay.
But we're talking about the structure itself. You vet. It's not a ton of people, okay? And then you learn to trust the Father through them. But then when you come in the group, you got people on all different points in the journey that come into the group. And not everybody's going to stay in the group. Some people are just passing through. So no, you optimistically and cautiously reach out to develop relationships with the group. And then as you vet and learn and understand them, then you can build deeper relationships with the ones that you learn that you can trust. Okay? But it's going to be a very mixed multitude on this level. Okay? Did that help, Olivia?
That does help. Thank you, Rabbi.
All right, good. Good.
I just wanted to say, Rabbi and Julie, you look beautiful today in your pink.
Didn't she? She looked awesome.
She does.
Awesome.
And Hannah from South Africa, I am so excited for her to be able to meet you. And I think it's funny that you were talking about tattoos, and I've got a full sleeve. Well, not a full sleeve, but it's all with the scriptures that you've been referencing, the Genesis 1:1 and John 1:1. After we heard what you said about tattoos, we were like, well, there goes my other arm.
There you go.
So thank you, Rabbi.
No problem. No problem.
Shabbat shalom, mishpachah.
All right, Shabbat shalom. All right. And I think that is everybody lined up in the room. Did you have any, John, that were just typing in?
Yeah, we have a bunch, Rabbi.
All right, well, let's go with those.
So
a bunch. We have 15 minutes.
Yeah. Question from Monica De Leon. I have kept the Shabbat on m.t.o.i, even if the sun is not set here. Can I end and finish with you, even if it is not dark, and call the Sabbath ending at your time and go out for supper or not?
Okay, no. All right. Look, you have to keep Shabbat based on the sundown where you are, okay? Now, I will kind of make an interesting, hopefully judgment. There are parts of the world where the sun doesn't go down at certain times of the year, or it never comes up at certain times of the year, okay? And so then it becomes kind of odd to figure out when your Shabbat is or how you work it, although it really is still 24 hours. I mean, even if it, if it doesn't go down, you just got to kind of figure it out. But what if you don't have any sundown or any sunrise? Like you literally have, the land of the midnight sun type of thing going on, right? Okay? Then I'm okay with you picking a time because you got to have some start and end to this thing. And if you're waiting for sundown and it never goes down, how do you do this, right? So you have to have some way of doing that. Okay, so, maybe pick, in most parts of the world, the latest sundown might get would be like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So maybe you go 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock when it's at an extreme or something like that. Contact me for counsel about it, where you live and how that works, okay? Because that's a legitimate problem. If you're far enough, way up north where, in a certain time of year, the sun never sets. And other times of year, it never comes up, okay? I mean, or maybe just for a second. So how do you handle that? Those are extremes. You know what that falls into? Deuteronomy 17, where you go when you don't know what to do to the leadership and ask for a right ruling. So that's what Monica was doing. So look, I know you're doing Shabbat with us, but if it's not sundown where you are, but it's sundown here, that doesn't work, okay? You're in Mexico, you're not at some extreme, okay? So you can do whatever sundown is where you are, okay? Now, all right, next one.
All right, from Easy D. Herrera, Rabbi, with regard to John 5:43, was Yeshua prophesying to Christianity's pagan Jesus when he said, "You will receive someone else if he comes in his own name"? Because Yeshua said he came in his Father's name, but no one received him.
Look, I think that it's referring to a much broader spectrum of things. Okay, this is 540. No, I got the wrong verse. What number is it supposed to be?
He said 543.
Well, that's not it. Look, you need to listen to the no other name teaching, okay? And I think this is Ernesto, okay? So, listen, you got to listen to the no other name teaching. He says, "I have come in my Father's authority." That's the word name there. It means authority. He said, "And you do not receive me. If another comes in his own authority, you would receive him." So it's more about authority. Now, that's not what Christianity has done to you. If you listen to Beware False Prophets, what they've done is they've actually taken Messiah and completely molded into a different image. It's not claiming like coming under a different authority. They claim to come, this is more the Lord, Lord, we did all this stuff in your name. And he said, that wasn't my name. In other words, it wasn't my authority. But you thought you were doing it in my authority. You've been lied to, you were deceived, and you were taught to do things that I never taught you to do. But it was done claiming my authority. But he's saying, look, I claim my Father's authority, you don't listen to me, but if somebody claims any kind of authority, you'll listen to them. And that's true. People do listen to people who don't have any authority but their own authority. Okay, so that's more about what it's talking about. Does that actually still fit into what you're saying? Probably, okay, to some degree, but that's not the main point he's making, all right? There's a lot of teachers out there, Christian, Messianic, and others, that are saying a lot of things on their own authority, okay? They got to be real careful. They're making really, really dangerous mistakes. All right, next one. See what we can squeeze out of here, a couple of them.
All right, from C4, Rabbi, can you explain or break down who or what were the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Sanhedrin and their relation to Yahweh and to the people? Okay,
so you're dealing with, let's take the Sanhedrin first. Okay, the Sanhedrin was a body of halachic decision-making. Okay, the Sanhedrin, all right? So this was 70, okay, really 72, but there was 70 in this body to make halachic rulings, okay, rulings about the walk. Now, then you have basically political parties where you have Pharisees and the Sadducees. These are different points of view, or we'll call it different sects within Judaism, okay? The Sadducees and Pharisees did not see Jewish life the same. They saw a lot of it the same, but there were a lot of it that they didn't, okay? And so they were parties always vying for power and authority, especially in the Sanhedrin and in the temple, okay, as far as that kind of thing. So hopefully you understand that, all right? I mean, they did the calendars differently. They saw a lot of things there. They saw the resurrection differently, okay? Sadducees didn't believe in the resurrection, that's why they were sad, you see. Okay, so they had nothing to look forward to, okay? So they were sad, you see. Okay, so these were, it's funny, so many of you are laughing and you've heard me say this before. That's the funny part to me. It's like, I've said this so many times. Anyway, it's been a while, I guess. But, so the scribes, same thing. These are all part of people with leadership, authority, and power in the Jewish community in Israel at the time, okay? In the land at the time, with differing points of view on things. And so they were, at least in unity under one thing. They didn't like what this guy was saying, so all three of those groups, Sadducees, Pharisees, scribes, whatever, they would go and debate him to try to basically embarrass him in public to undermine his ministry, okay? If they could show him to be wrong, especially on halakhic things, on Torah things, his ministry would have ended, okay? And it didn't because he wasn't wrong. And that's really where the arguments came out. So they would try things like, oh, well, you know, we saw your students plucking grain and eating it on the Sabbath. Well, there's no Torah against that. Torah doesn't want you to harvest or gather on the Sabbath. But if you walk by, you know, an apple tree and you're hungry on Shabbat and you reach up, grab one, and rub it off, you know, and go ahead and take a bite, that's not harvesting. That's eating, okay? All right? I know this is complicated. All right, next.
Okay, from Adam Saldana, will Yahweh judge you if you decide to never have children?
No. Look, this question that came up again recently in one of the discussions, okay, within the last week. I don't remember which meeting we did. But, you know, be fruitful and multiply, I mentioned, was the first instruction. You know, it comes up, even though it's not listed as a Torah command. But he said to them when he threw them out, he said, look, be fruitful and multiply, okay? Now, of course, that instruction was to Adam. But at the same time, you know, the idea was to fill all the earth, okay? And human beings have done that. The point is, children need parents, but not just any parents, parents that want to be parents. Not just any parents that want to be parents, parents that want to be good parents. And if you don't want these children, you're not going to be that. So when people ask me how many children should I have, I say as many as you actually want. Because any that you don't want, you're going to be a bad parent, okay? So no, Yahweh's not going to judge you if you decide to never have children. You know, he's going to know your reasoning for that. You may honestly believe you don't have the capacity to do that, and some people don't, because they've got maybe some mental health issues or some emotional issues, whatever it is, they just don't have the capacity, and they know they would not do a great job because they just don't have that capacity. So who would judge that? That means that you may have a handicap that's just not a visible handicap, so to speak, or a diagnosed one, but you just, you know. I have a close friend from when I was growing up, and his wife, you know, when she got pregnant, she absolutely had an absolute emotional meltdown. And so she had to actually, this is the hardest decision I had to make, but she had to abort that baby because she was going to end up in an insane asylum. She could not handle having a child. Hardest thing they ever did. I didn't say I agree with what they did or anything else, but this woman literally was going to be in a rubber room because she just freaked out about parenting. I'm not saying like some of us freak out. I mean like literally like having a complete and utter meltdown, okay? And so not everybody has, you know, the capacity for this, okay? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try if you want to give it a shot because you think you'd like to see if you can work your way into that. But I mean, there are people that absolutely know, this is not for me. I don't think I'm going to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't know how to handle it. I don't want to handle it, whatever it is. I get that, okay? I think if you were healthy, that wouldn't be the case. But most of us aren't, okay? Most of us are not healthy psycho-emotionally. But I think if you were whole, you would want children because that's what you were brought here to do as part of the creation. But I'm not judging you because if you're not whole, what's there to judge? Okay, understand? And none of us are whole, really, so why would we judge anybody? He says, don't judge anybody. Everybody else, you're just as messed up as they are, and they're messed up as you are. Maybe in different ways. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, next.
Yeah, let's see. Sokezes Isman. So in John 10:30, I and my Father are one. Can you please expound on that? Because I don't remember this in the Father and the Son teaching. I believe that's where Christians get the unity.
Okay, I'm sure I covered it for a few hours in the teaching. Okay, so you may need to go back and watch it again, okay? But let me re-explain it, okay? We are of one mind. In other words, we are in full agreement on everything, okay? I and my Father are one. Look, in John 17, okay? Let's be, he says this in multiple times, okay? In verse, 21, right? We'll go into 20 to 21. He says, I do not pray for these alone, but also those believing in me through their word, so that all might be one, as you, Father, are in me and I in you, so that they too might be one in us. So are we all one being now? In other words, he wants everybody to be of one accord, one mind, one purpose, in agreement. Two can't walk together unless they're in agreement. They walk perfectly together in perfect agreement. So when he says, I and my Father are one, it's like the word there would be in Hebrew, echad. Echad is also that a husband and wife would come together, two beings, and become echad. Okay? So Yeshua is saying, we are the perfect understanding of echad. The Father and I are the perfect unity of two beings into one. Okay? Where we are in harmony and understand our roles and are in full agreement, etc. By the way, a husband and wife, when they become echad, the wife doesn't become the husband doesn't become the wife. They don't have both the same, they still have their unique roles. Okay? There's still a vertical structure, husband-wife. Father-son. So we don't lose structure there. But that's what it's talking about in John. So hopefully you get that in John 10. And I don't know how you missed that in the Father and Son teaching, because I am sure I covered John 17 and all these other places over as well, okay? I know that was covered.